Most of the success comes from tackling a very important issue and pragmatically taking advantage of that, putting the infrastructure in place, the technology infrastructure, learning in the process and expanding from there. So I think in that case, whether it's a developing nation or a developed country, I think there's a lot of similarities there where the success really is at, which is finding that challenge, getting the executive sponsorship and political leadership behind it, having buy-in from the citizenry or kind of a broader group of people that needs to be tackled, and then taking an approach to actually change the processes and use technology as an enabler to do that in a pragmatic way. I think in that case it is universal in terms of a good approach to do that and to learn along the way, because it is a process and it is something that you learn kind of along the way. I think you've got organizations that are responsible for managing the security situation, say in a city, the police force as an example, or the fire authority, right? They can leverage technology to be able to manage their cases and be much more effective in response. So I think that's a well-known piece. We have plenty of examples. I think there are plenty of examples in India as well. I think the opportunity is actually in finding a way to involve your citizenry in ensuring safer communities. And that's why I mentioned the Country Fire Authority example in Victoria. But I think there's a lot more here. If you've seen around, are there ways to leverage mobile communications technology to be able to involve your citizens in ensuring security? I think that's where the opportunity is, and that's where you can leverage things that are already there. Of course, you're going to need a backbone to be able to respond to all that, but I think the real opportunity is actually in that area. Technology definitely moves things towards more transparency, to more clarity, right? And I do think that, say in India, there's a lot of public servants. I know a few of them that were public servants or are public servants that would love to see more transparency as well. So I wouldn't say it's a homogeneous set. Now I think technology does help with transparency. I think transparency does help with involving many others to help solve some of these problems. And you take many versions of transparency. So in the United States, we work with recovery.gov and also a lot of cities and counties and states in terms of making the economic stimulus spending more transparent to the citizens. That has an impact of getting the citizens much more engaged and in helping direct where that goes and maybe even helping with that process, right? And so I think there's a lot of intangible benefits to transparency besides potentially wringing out inefficiencies or potentially taking corruption and bringing that down, right? I think there's a lot of advantages in terms of ensuring better collaboration to tackle some of these problems. A lot of those organizations, like say railways, right, in some countries are public sector organizations, some countries are privatized, right, and some countries are in between, like in the United States, for example, right. And so I think what we're doing is we do worry about that. We think it's important to a country's infrastructure. What we have for them, I think the opportunity with a lot of these, say postal organizations, railways, oil and gas companies, telecommunications companies, is we're able to take a lot of our solutions for the private sector and for companies that are very much competitive in these spaces. And we worry about it because what we want to do is we want to work with them as a public sector organization. So we have a dedicated team in India that works just in the public sector. It's a significant investment we've made in terms of a local team. They work with state-owned enterprises and also with governmental organizations at federal, state, and city level. And I think the opportunity is to take this breadth of solutions of SAP across 25 industries that we offer and finding the applicability of that in a way that makes an impact and has ROI for all sorts of public sector organizations, including ones like railways and postal organizations and educational institutions, for example.